Radio News Bureau, I'm Tony Maruso.
The Conservative Political Action Coalition has apologized for an earlier tweet when it referred to areas of the Ukraine countryside where Russian troops had fled as, quote, Ukrainian occupied. The tweet was intended to criticize the recent $12.3 billion included in the Fed's short-term funding plan to assist the Ukrainian war effort. But CPAC acknowledged that it, quote, belittled the plight of the innocent Ukrainian people. Gun rights groups and firearm owners have launched another attempt to overturn Connecticut's ban on certain semi-automatic rifles
Good morning,
that was
everybody.
enacted in response to the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting, citing a U.S. Supreme Court decision earlier this year. This is USA Radio News.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So, while other companies might deliver a lot of pay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job in ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Former President Donald Trump has called out Senator Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, saying on his social media platform that the Kentucky Republican had a, quote, death wish for supporting Democratic-sponsored bills. The posting on Truth Social came hours after Congress approved and President Joe Biden signed a stopgap funding bill to avert a federal government shutdown. In addition to keep government agencies afloat, the short-term funding measure provides around $12 billion for Ukraine, and it includes funding for disaster relief. The measure funds the government through distributors. Brand new nonprofits are paying athletes to promote their charity. This comes as the new world has been created of college athletes getting paid for endorsements. Federal officials are offering state and local election officials training.
You find the Bright Life program?
De-escalate confrontations
Next week,
with
I
voters
don't have
that
next
turn
week's,
violent
so I gotta
ahead of November's
sometime,
midterm
either
election.
today
The
or
move
sometime
underlines
during the week.
level
Just
of
text
concern
him. I wanna
ahead
call
of
him. Just
upcoming
text him.
elections,
No, I'll just,
and comes in response
I
to
let
a
him
steady
know.
stream of violent threats and harassment that election
Maybe
officials have
today.
faced
I
since
don't
the
know.
2020 election.
Well,
From
just
people
shoot
who
him a
falsely
text.
claim that the
Okay.
vote was ruined by fraud. For USA Radio News, I'm Ellie Andrews.
Is this it? This is this is the last. They do the O'Reilly commercial and that's it. They're done with their program.
Increase your vehicle's performance and gas mileage. Get Chevron Techron fuel system cleaner starting at
They never used to do that. They used to have.
I know.
They used to have like
I don't-
Wayne all route and stuff like that.
I don't
Where's
know
it Wayne now? He's not even on there anymore.
Today.
I don't know why they're I don't know why they're ending with an ad, because they never do that. They never do that. That is new. I don't know why.
The opinions
they're doing
expressed
that.
on this program
That is-
are those of the host and
It's
do
kind
not
of a weird way to
express
end a
the
news
views of
broadcast.
WVDF ownership
Yep.
or Hometown
Alright.
Talk
But
Radio.
it's calling it 10 past.
Content
10
in
past.
All programs are those of the host and
Alright,
their guests.
70, enter. There we go.
Hey, Joey, what's happening? I mean, what's happening in Middleboro and surrounding towns?
Middleboro, yeah.
It's time for the Middleboro Weekend Review with your host, Joey Driscoll. Stay tuned for news, Middleboro News, here on AM 1530 WVBF. Hey, Joey, what's happening?
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Middleboro Matters.
Middleboro, what?
Not Middleboro Matters. Middleboro in Review.
Tony just told you. Tony just told you. Didn't Tony just tell you? Tony Lopes told you in the intro what the show was.
He did.
He did. He just told you.
And I said Middleboro matters.
It matters that you get the name right.
Yes, it does. And so does Middleboro. Middleboro does matter, and
Middleboro does matter.
It matters. It matters to me on Thursdays, and it matters to me on Sundays. No matter what the show, Middleboro always matters.
But the show is
The show is called Middleboro Wood Review. So
on Sundays.
Anyway, moving on.
So Tony told you.
Moving on as I get my weather together. Get my weather together. Well, so it is a windy, cloudy day out there, and we have a phone call. Let's get this phone call going, and I'm going to say, as I try to get my things going here, my headphones, those weren't plugged in, so give me 1 second, and I'm going to say good morning to our guest for this morning. Is this Ed Sutka? Good. How are you, Ed? Ready to go. Okay, we're just going to do a quick little weather thing here. In Middleboro, it is currently 57 degrees outside, cloudy skies. 58 for the high today, so we're pretty much at the high right now. And tonight, 47 degrees. And the same exact temperatures tomorrow. 58 for the high tomorrow, 47 for the low tomorrow night. Very interesting. And in Taunton, 57 degrees, a high of 59, and a low of 46, cloudy skies. Today, Driscoll, North Dakota, 51 degrees and raining outside. And Driscoll, North Dakota, 75 degrees for the high today, 51 for the low. And in Driscoll, Texas, 67 degrees, mostly sunny skies, a high of 87 today. High 80s throughout most of the week. Could possibly get into 90, maybe. We'll see. I mean, 90s in October in Texas, that's pretty good. Okay. That is your weather for today, October 2nd, 2022. And we have Ed Sutka on the line.
Sunday morning at 11 to noon. So, certainly feel, if you're not familiar with it, certainly feel free to partake. And the reason I'm here today, main reason I'm here today, is I was invited to give a recital of a short story I wrote called Musician of the Spheres. So here goes. There was once an orchestral conductor known as the Musician of the Spheres. He was part of a generation of musicians informally known as the Iguanodon generation. Collectively, this group of musicians was sometimes referred to as a generation of conductors that was kissed by the gods. This highly venerated generation was rapidly dying out, however. A point was reached when the youngest member of this group was in his late 60s, and the Musician of the Spheres was over 80. Concurrently, the sound quality of recordings was rapidly improving, and record companies were trying to get the last surviving members of the Iguanodon generation to record their repertoires in this improved recorded sound. This generation of conductors that was kissed by the gods took a different approach to music making than those who came after them. For the Iguanodon generation, the spiritual essence of a piece was paramount, and all possible steps needed to be taken to bring this out. To the ears of subsequent generations, the Iguanodons were perceived as strange. The newer generations were much more literal and far more cautious about taking liberties of any sort. Of the remaining iguanodons, the musician of the spheres is generally considered to be the greatest. The musician of the spheres had embarked on making a series of recordings using the newly developed state-of-the-art recording techniques. Before he could finish recording a single piece, however, he became terribly ill. The nature of his illness was so pervasive that he was forced to cancel all of his scheduled concert engagements and retire from conducting. The company for whom the musician of the spheres made his recordings was greatly disappointed. This company prevailed upon him to come out of retirement and make a series of recordings using the improved recording processes. The proposed recording sessions would be structured in such a way as to minimize the potential physical strain on him. The musician of the spheres was not sure that he was physically up to the task, but he felt that these recordings could help keep the ethos of the iguanodon generation alive, so he agreed to it. The date to begin rapidly approached. A suitable hall for recording was found near where the musician of the spheres lived, and an orchestra was pulled together from some of the local ensembles. Top-notch recording equipment, manned by the best recording engineers available, was put into place. All that meant nothing, however, without the musician of the spheres. He looked very elderly and moved very slowly, apparently still trying to recover his physical strength. No one could really tell what was going on within his soul. He was friendly with all with whom he interacted, yet was somehow inscrutable. When the first day to rehearse and then begin recording arrived, there was a feeling in the air that could only be described as eerie. Some of the musicians had played for the musician of the spheres before, but they had not expected to see him again. Most of the players had never played for him previously, although he was certainly a name that they had heard throughout their musical lives, but not someone whom they expected to see in the flesh. It was as if a long-lost, legendary dinosaur from the distant past had been taken out of the deep freeze and was somehow being brought back to life. There was a great feeling of expectancy as the musician of the spheres slowly made his way to the podium. His paradoxical personality was well known, polite, gentlemanly, friendly, yet at the same time strong-willed, intense, and incredibly persistent. He was also known to push himself to the max during rehearsals, and sometimes he could be heard panting for breath or gasping for air as the rehearsal process unfolded. The orchestra before him consisted of some 60 or so musicians, and some of them might have felt that this whole project was nothing but a sandcastle in the air. Perhaps many of them wondered if anything at all would come forth from the rehearsal and the recording session that was scheduled to follow. At this point, the musician of the spheres arrived at the podium and began speaking to the orchestra and then started conducting it. It is about what ensued from this point onward that controversy arose about what happened next and how to explain it. Most of the details from the account of what transpired came from the recording director, a sober, practical man who was present during this event and was considered to be about as well-grounded a fellow as you could hope to find. When the musician of the spheres began conducting, he immediately looked about 20 years younger, and his movements became the movements of a much younger man as well. The musicians he was directing seemed to instinctively realize that the musician of the spheres was not just leading them in a routine run-through of the notes, but was taking the very familiar score they were playing and recreating it as if for the first time. In the early stages of the rehearsal, the musician of the spheres had to stop the orchestra often to both correct and to encourage the players. As they moved through the piece together, he needed to stop them less and less often. What might be called an ecstatic sense of enchantment so palpably felt by the musician of the spheres was somehow being conveyed to the players as part of a process of communication that went beyond mere words and gestures. At times, the musician of the spheres spoke to the orchestra in a tone that was peremptory, and often infused with a white-hot sense of urgency. What was being experienced by the musician of the spheres and the players was merging into a sense of oneness that was melded together by a sort of spiritualized spontaneous combustion. The whole rehearsal process took less than half an hour. For a moment after they had finished, no one really knew where they were or what had happened as they slowly came back to Earth. To this day, no one has been able to fully explain what took place during this rehearsal. But over time, two contrasting explanations tried to take hold. The first was that on this particular day, the musician of the spheres was simply a man who would not be denied. His strong-willed, intense nature and the overall sense of presence they created was so powerful that they could overcome any obstacle. The second explanation tended more toward paranormal psychology. It held that to say the Iguanodon generation was kissed by the gods was more than just a manner of speaking, that in fact the musician of the spheres had become able to tap into some sort of divine power that had made the events that transpired possible. There was actually a third school of thought as well that held that perhaps nothing really extraordinary happened during that rehearsal, and all the talk about it was a kind of wishful thinking or mere sentimentality. Today, the Iguanodon generation is no longer with us in the flesh, but for those who insist on documentary evidence, the recordings of these musicians still exist. The sense of ecstatic enchantment that was at the heart of the Iguanodon art can still be felt by all those who desire to partake of it through the recordings, which, if not as powerful as having been there in person, still convey much that is extraordinary. Many decades have passed since these events took place, but the feeling persists that the musician of the spheres had bent the curve of age in the service of providing us with an unmatched musical and spiritual experience. And that's all she wrote.
Don, your thoughts first.
That's heavy. Wow. No, I thought it was intriguing. I really thought so mechanically, just the way you write and the way you pronounce is amazing. I wish I could talk like you. Oh my God, it's just everything is so precise. Everything is like it's almost mathematically correct. The way you talk and you present your stuff, it's unbelievable. I mean, it's right, yeah, and that's how you did your story. So I think all your stories are based on how you do your commentating on your on your programs too, because it's definitely the same format. It's just it's entrenched. It's really lined up. It's squared away. You know. Is it a true story or is it okay? And what year is that? What year was 58? Okay, right. So, and you said the last of the generation, huh? Gone. Right. Anybody who knows classical too would know what you're talking about. Yeah, wow. And it's good how you put the story in. And it was funny too, because we're talking, on the phone and off air, and it's just like, you have several interviews. I think this is the fourth or fifth interview you've had in the last, 8 or 9 months. And you say, yeah, well, you want to try to do something differently. But in a way, it's sort of the same as your program in a way, because because the way you presented the story was pretty much the way you present your program. The same tone, the same manner, the same, pretty much the same way. Yeah, it's just as far as I can tell, it's just that certain way you do it. I can't come up with a fancy word for it right now. Joey?
The main character of your story definitely reminded me of a certain musician. And that musician is Freddie Mercury. Freddie Mercury, towards the end of his life, he did an album with Queen called Innuendo. And during those recordings, he was extremely sick. He was towards the end of his life. And he went through those recordings. The band didn't know if they were going to be even able to finish the album. But Freddie was able to record it. And some of the songs on that album are some of the best songs Queen has ever written. It is the best Freddie has ever sounded on some of those songs. And this is a man that would unfortunately pass away 9 months after that album was released.
Also, too, on a true story aspect, I had a really good friend. His name was Paul Lyons, and he passed away on beginning of 2014. I think it was January 1st or January 2nd. He had brain cancer, and he knew he was passing, and right to the end, he was trying to learn new things. He never, he's music in a way, which kept him going insane. He was trying to work on a couple Led Zeppelin songs right up to his death, thinking, I'm going to learn these songs for the future. And the last time I seen him, he says, he could hardly talk, but he was able to say, well, I'm working on the song Thank You. I almost got it done. And then I says, well, I didn't go boo-hoo, and I'll catch you later because I got some, invoices I need to do, and we'll go work on that song. I got a hot tuna song I want you to listen to. And he's, okay, but just barely talking. And then that was the last I seen him. But it was the power of music that kept his soul from being crushed for his last hours of life. It was the hope of a miracle. It was the hope of, maybe I will see this again. Maybe God will come down and touch him, and we'll go have a beer together. So I think music is the healer. Music's the touch, in my opinion. Right. Yeah, no, that was an intriguing story. It's based on a true story, so did he live much past those recordings, the main character? 4 years. Okay, so he died in the early 60s, 61, something like that, 62. Yeah, okay. So, all right. Yeah, that's a good story, Ed. That was good. Yeah. Sure.
As it is every Sunday, and the subject matter this Sunday is Johannes Brahms, and he was a composer that I did not like at first. Found him very heavy and ponderous, but then I got a few years older, and I developed a great admiration for him. So, 2-part series in Johannes Brahms starts this week.
Okay, that will be played again at 11 to 12 this morning. Thank you, Ed, for calling in today and sharing that poem and spending some time here on the Middleboro and Review program.
Hey, Ed, one more thing before you leave. Yeah. It's funny how you say you really, like this composer that you're featuring today, you really didn't, I'm not saying care for, but really didn't it really wasn't on your radar. Now it is. It's funny because I go back to music that I really didn't, really get into or whatever. Now it's like a treat. It's like Christmas all over again to discover something new, to discover, hey, it's just like you give it another listen or warm up. Me and Joey's word is to warm up to it.
Yes.
So it's funny how you said that, because that happens to Joey and I all the time. And we discover something and we're like, wow. But it's like something new, like, like a Christmas present. You just woke up Christmas morning and you opened it up and you got something new. That's all. Okay. Okay. Great.
Thank you so much, Ed.
Yeah, bye.
Bye-bye, Ed. That was Ed Sutka. And you can listen to Musical Odyssey this morning. Again, 11 to 12 this morning.
You can hear his brilliant, what can I say? I'm looking for a fancy word here. His brilliant
voice.
Yes.
So
yes, and the way he goes about doing his presentation, his presentation
of his show.
That's it. His present. It's not a fancy word, but
okay.
His presentation is remarkable as far as his wording, and because like you said, it's mathematical. So if you're into that.
Yeah. All right. Let's do it.
Like I say.
Let's do a commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to do a musical recommendation from an artist
who passed
5 years ago today. So we're gonna do that coming up here on Middleboro in Review on 1530 AM, 99.7 FM, WVBF. We'll be right back.
Combat Veteran Motorcycle Association.
Go over to the coffee bar.
Combat veterans
Coffee bar.
forces who ride motorcycles as a hobby. Our mission is to support those who have defended our country and freedoms. Our focus is to help veteran care facilities provide.
Passed away October
clothing,
2nd,
shelter,
2017.
or simply to say thank you.
How old was he?
66.
He was 66 at the time?
He was 66.
Many members
Discography.
continue to serve in our armed forces, with several serving in combat areas now.
There it is.
We sponsor,
First album.
bid, or participate
What?
When that come out? 79?
First album came out in 76.
No, I mean Damn the Torpedoes. When that come out? That was his biggest hit. I mean, that got him going. That album got him
Damn the
going.
Torpedoes, 79. 79.
That was the first album I ever bought.
You can join or
Ever.
support.
Was that?
Yep. I went to Jason's Music in Quincy and I bought that.
Yeah.
In 79.
Nice. 3, 6. Running Down a Dream. I gotta find when that came out. That song came out.
That came out in the 80s, I think.
On health,
I gotta find out.
and lifestyle issues that affect you and your family. It's fascinating, fast-paced, and fun as we explore all aspects of the Medicare issues. So join me for a Medicare Moment with Martha, Saturday mornings at 8 and Sunday mornings at 9 on AM 1530 and 99.7 FM, WVBF, your hometown radio station.
403.
Spark Street Auto Body, located at 48 Spark Street in Brockton, Massachusetts, offers the highest quality collision repair and complete auto
This is
service.
your best ad you've ever
They are
done.
a direct repair shop for all major insurance companies.
There's only one thing, you paused at the end.
583-1495.
But other than that, I mean, 98%, it would have been 100 if you didn't pause at the end.
On Fridays. Call them today. You will not be disappointed.
89.
508
Came out 89.
That came out in 89?
That late? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds right.
Hi, this is
That late.
Jay
Oh.
Lyon. Hope you can join me every Sunday for
That's not. It's 10 years after Damn the Torpedoes.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, so we're going to talk about Full Moon Fever and Damn the Torpedoes today.
And sometimes
Okay.
live singers in the studio.
Okay.
And to make you laugh,
Good songs. There's great songs on both.
Well, Here Comes My Girl is when I want to feature.
Yeah. There's great songs on both. I'm just going to talk about both albums.
Yeah, that's all.
There's great songs on both.
And then if you say any thoughts, Don, I'm going to talk about how that was my first album.
I mean, Full Moon Fever has I Won't Back Down, Running Down a Dream, Free Fallin', and You're So Bad.
Right.
Those are fantastic.
Yeah, those are 4 hits.
Those are hits.
Yep.
Refugee was on Damn the Torpedoes, Don't Do Me Like That, Here
Yep.
Comes My Girl, and Even the Losers.
Yep.
Fantastic songs.
Yep. Yeah, just go ahead and do the commentary, and then I'll just give my thoughts on the album, on my
Okay.
album.
And we are back here on Middleboro in review as I turn down that music. And so today is October 2nd, and on October 2nd, 2017, we lost a amazing musician. His name's Tom Petty, and I wanted to do a musical recommendation on Tom Petty today. To celebrate the life of Tom Petty, who we lost 5 years ago today. So, I want to feature 2 albums in particular. The first one came out October 19th, 1979, Damn the Torpedoes. And this is his 3rd album, and first of 3 albums, originally released by Backstreet Records label, distributed by MCA Records. Huge album for him. Songs like Don't Do Me Like That was on that album. Refugee, which was a huge hit. Here Comes My Girl. And Even the Losers was on that album as well. Some other songs on there, Louisiana Rain, You Tell Me, and Century City. A lot of great songs on that album, and that was his 3rd album. His previous 2 albums, built on the commercial success of his previous 2 albums, this one reached number 2 on the Billboard album chart. Huge album for him. Also another huge album for him, Full Moon Fever, which came out 10 years later, just about 10 years later, in April 24th of 1989. This album is 5 times platinum in the United States, 6 times platinum in Canada, and just a huge album. There is plenty of contributions from Jeff Lynne, Roy Orbison, and George Harrison, who are his bandmates in the Traveling Wilburys, which is another great band as well. Just an amazing album again. There's amazing songs on here. I Won't Back Down, Running Down a Dream, Free Falling, You're So Bad, and just the entire album is fantastic. So that is Tom Petty. Those are the two albums I wanted to spotlight today for our musical recommendation. Definitely check out those 2 albums, Damn the Torpedoes, and the other album as well that I just mentioned too. So, Don, your thoughts?
Damn the Torpedoes was the first album I've ever bought. I went to a place called Jason's Records in Quincy, Mass. I walked down there. And I bought it. And I listened to it on my Aunt Rita's turntable in her room. And I loved it. Refugee, that's been a radio hit. Still not sick of it. And they've played it so many times, and there's so many songs
have.
out there from great bands that I just sick of listening to the songs. But they
Back in Black by AC/DC
all
comes,
of them. Rolling Stone songs
comes to mind.
all of them. Even Kansas Wayward Son, gets under my skin after a while.
Yeah.
They play it a lot. But this song, there's two songs that they played over and over and over, which I'm not sick of. Is Refugee by Tom Petty and Aaliyah by Donny Iris.
Yeah.
Okay, those two songs I'll never get sick of, and they played them so much. Other songs on that album, they get some airplay, but not as much as Refugee. Refugee is like the top.
It's the hit on
If you talk to any DJ back in the day, 70s, through the 80s, through the 90s, that was probably one of the top 20 they had handy.
Yeah.
That song, Here Comes My Girl, and the strumming on the guitar, and it's the way it sounds, it's just, I don't know, it's like, I'm 55, so I was 79, I was, 12? So, yeah, it's just what I grew up with. It's my innocence, my age of innocence, as far as listening to Tom Petty, and all the songs were good. All the songs you mentioned. The Running Down the Dream and the other song, good. I like them. I like everything that he does. But for me, my age bracket, Damn the Torpedoes is the go-to album for me, for Tom Petty.
Yeah.
It is. But he has so much. I mean, that and the Wilburys.
Yes.
That and the Wilburys. Wilburys is a different...
Traveling Wilburys is amazing.
Different. Because they got so much talent. I mean, they got Bob Dylan, Roy Orbison,
yeah.
George Harrison, Tom Petty, and Jeff Lynne.
Yeah.
So it's just, you're talking about, that's like one of the first supergroups. These bands come out with all these supergroups.
Yep.
Well, other than Ringo's All-Star Band, that was always a good supergroup. But that was always like a tour situation. And also, hey, you got a plug for after the next program, right?
Yeah. Speaking of the Beatles.
Well, make sure you have the place too. So maybe plug it after your next commercial.
We're plugging it right after. But speaking of the Beatles and supergroups and everything pertaining to the Beatles.
Pertaining with his hands, you can see him in the studio. You're flying all his hands are going all over. He's the conductor. He's the conductor over here.
It's interesting.
It is interesting.
Two members of the Beatles were in supergroups. That is interesting stuff. I don't know if Paul McCartney was ever in a supergroup or not. He might have been. I'm sure he was.
Well, I don't
know. I had to look it up.
I think as far as Ringo is concerned, he just got everybody on stage.
Yeah.
He's an on-stage guy.
Yes.
As far as the albums, I don't know. I'm not familiar with his albums that came out. But he, actually, my friend Scott Mullen saw Ringo, I think, once or twice. I know he saw him once, maybe twice. But he said it was great. Because everyone's on there. And I think everyone was on there. Everyone, I mean, if we can go back and maybe in the next break, we can maybe kind of come up with who was with Ringo, All-Star bands. Maybe one particular year, but it was always different, I think, And Billy Preston had a lot to do with Ringo, too.
Yes.
And Billy Preston's the fifth Beatle, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
His sounds, and Let It Be, and all that keyboard work in the late part of the band's history. Pretty sure Let It Be's keyboards was Billy Preston, but it could be wrong. I'm not too sure, but I digress.
I just wanted to talk about this. Speaking of the Beatles, Chacha the Pret, who we had on Thursday, for the next 3 Sundays.
Last Thursday we had.
On Thursday, yep. We, next 3 Sundays, he's going to be holding 3 events. The events are called A Day in His Life, John Lennon, with Chachi LaPret and Eric Toros. 2 hours of Fab 4 stories and footage you can't see anywhere else. Today's next first one is today. There's one on October 2nd, October 9th, and October 16th. The one today, Sunday, 7 p.m., October 2nd at the Greenwich Odeum in Greenwich, Rhode Island. And East Greenwich, actually. East Greenwich, Rhode Island. Sunday at 5 p.m., October 9th at the Regent Theatre in Arlington, Massachusetts. And Sunday, 3 p.m., October 16th at the Palace Danbury. That Palace Danbury Theatre in Danbury, Connecticut. So that is what's coming up over the next 3 weekends.
As far as the Regent, yeah.
If you're in the area, if you're in the area of tonight's show, definitely go down.
We're going. Actually, we're gonna go and see tonight's show. The Regent Theatre in Arlington. We went to that last June, and the same Chachi and Eric did the. Maybe I'm amazed. It was a celebration of Paul McCartney's birthday, so it was pretty much the same setup. As I said to Chachi on Thursday, I'm a Leonard guy. I mean, I love Paul. I love all the Beatles, believe me, but I love John Lennon a little bit more, and I'm really looking forward to this. And actually, the Regent Theatre event next Sunday, which is October 9th, it happens to be on John's 82nd birthday.
Yes.
So, I mean, if you want to go and you want to just be there on his birthday and feel John Lennon's present or whatnot, you go to the Regent in Arlington. But anybody down this side, I think Rhode Island is close up. But what's the name of the Rhode Island one? You still got that up, Joe?
It's in Greenwich. I don't have it up. No, it's in Greenwich, though.
Yeah, Greenwich.
It's in Odeum Theatre.
Odeum Theatre. So you can look that up. And,
Odeum Theatre in Greenwich. East Greenwich. East Greenwich.
East,
not Greenwich.
East Greenwich.
East.
Yeah.
Greenwich.
Yes. Greenwich.
Not Greenwich.
Greenwich.
I don't know.
Okay.
Pronunciations were never my thing. So.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. Moving on here. I just want a quick little PSA to anyone in the Taunton area. In Taunton. Weir Street Rail Crossing is closed until tomorrow afternoon. Due to weather-related delays, the Weir Street Rail Crossing in Taunton is going to remain closed until tomorrow afternoon. According to an online post by the City of Taunton, the work began mid-morning on Friday, with the crossing expected to be reopened on Monday, the 3rd, at 4 p.m. And commuters should exercise caution as the intersection will be detoured. There will be signage and police details at the crossing to direct traffic. So that is a little PSA for Taunton residents. And also a PSA for Middleboro residents. Tomorrow is special town meeting. Tomorrow, October 3rd at 7 p.m. at the Middleboro High School auditorium. There are 35 articles for this special town meeting. So maybe make sure you grab a cup of coffee before you go to this meeting, because it might be a long one.
Get a lodge.
Might be a long one. There are 35 articles in this meeting. Several. There are
Get there early, right? Don't miss all the action.
There are ones from the health department, the permanent cable committee, the school department, the select board, police department, building department has a couple of articles. The fire department has a couple of articles. Town manager's office has an article. There are a lot of articles. Several articles by the information technology department as well. So several articles here. Many by the water department as well. So special town meeting tomorrow night, 7 p.m. at the high school auditorium.
Get your seats.
Yes, and make sure you have some coffee.
Yeah.
All right, it is 7:47, and we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we return, we're going to do our Today in Histories a little early. I think we have quite a few. That's why I wanted to do them a little bit early. Just make sure. See how many there actually are. I think there were a lot. That's why I wanted to do them a little early.
Well, it's better to do them early than have you back against the wall towards the end. Because then you gotta talk like a droid, like a robot.
Yeah, no. There's not many. There's one today in history, but there are a couple birthdays that I can go into a little bit more detail.
Maybe we can close the show off by transportation topics at the end, huh?
Yeah,
it's always a good one.
We'll see what kind of time we have at the end of this. Yeah. All right, so let's take our second...
I'm not gonna rant. I'm just gonna talk.
Our second commercial breaks here, second set of commercial breaks here, and we'll be right back here on Middleboro in Review on WVBF 1530 AM, 99.7 FM. It is Sunday, October 2nd, 2022. We will be right back.
Boy, it's dark out there, huh?
Yeah. It sucks.
I got my
outside.
COVID-19 vaccination, and here's why.
Okay.
This isn't about gimmicks or sentiment or what commercial I like.
It's the sunshine. It's not raining though.
COVID-19 vaccines are safe and effective. Millions of doses have already been given in the United States, and these vaccines have the most intensive safety monitoring in U.S. history. People from different races, ages, genders, and ethnicities participated in large clinical trials around the world to make sure this vaccine worked for all kinds of people.
That was a good story, Ed,
The
huh?
time and effort
Yes,
dedicated to
absolutely.
developing these vaccines was huge.
Unbelievable.
Scientists use
It's
existing
just so,
research
like I
and
said, it's so
technology
mathematically.
I can do a program
and safe
update.
without
That's
giving any
something I wanted to do too.
If you need any more
Yeah, all right.
information,
Okay,
you can
that's
rely on
something I
sources
wanted to
like
do too. I
CDC
forgot about
Yeah.
to get the
I
facts.
wanted to do.
Well, there's no way of knowing what the talking information's doing at 10, huh?
No.
No, too late now, right?
Unfortunately, no. I don't know how to get it. I don't know how to get it. I don't know how to get it. So.
Vincent de Paul of Sacred Heart Church in Middleboro serves the residents of the towns of Middleboro.
You didn't get one. You're nice and calm on this one.
Our base of operations is in the lower level of the parish hall on Oak Street, directly across the street from Sacred Heart Church in downtown Middleboro. At this time, we serve approximately 500 families in our service area.
See, that might have went up.
To us for various types of
The 500.
This can take many forms.
That's why I want to get this. That's why I want to get this done.
When's he calling? Next Thursday?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, I'm gonna maybe I'll plug that. Maybe I'll plug that out of the break.
I would.
I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
Out of the break, I'm gonna plug that.
Yeah, I'll plug that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't forget to call him up.
I'm gonna text him. I'm texting him on
Wednesday, right?
On Wednesday.
Or Thursday morning. Probably Thursday morning.
No. Jesus. Hold on. Sorry.
Hi everybody, Tony Lopes here, and just want to
Trying
remind
to
everyone
do two things at
that
once.
you listen every
I gotta text him Wednesday.
Tony from
Wednesday
and
afternoon.
now an
That's when I'm gonna do
extra
it.
treat. For a while, at
Not
least
Thursday.
Thursdays,
Because I will
have
forget.
Coffee with Tony from 9 to 11. So Coffee with Tony, Tuesday 9 to 12, Thursdays 9 to 11 here on AM 1530, WVBF and 99.7 FM.
Combat Veteran Motorcycle Association is an association of combat veterans from all branches of the United States Armed Forces who ride motorcycles as a hobby.
All right.
Our mission is to support those who
45 seconds. It's 7:51, so I'm gonna do our programming update, and then I'll do the day in history.
Well, you got one more commercial, right?
No, this is the last commercial. Oh wait, no, you're right. Nope, you're right.
Many members continue to serve in our armed forces.
You're all right.
Yeah, no.
But you have a log you're looking at?
We sponsor and or participate.
The ad is right on the bottom, so yeah. No, you're right.
And as a non-profit organization,
I gotta highlight it. It's not highlighted.
You
It's not bolded.
Yeah, I'll bold
It's
it
not
up.
bolded up. So. I wouldn't have missed it anyway.
Please visit
Just me being me. I wouldn't have missed it anyway. I would have looked and said, "Oh, there's one more."
Dumas.
Williams Trading Post is now open for their fall season. At Williams Trading Post, you can find everything you need for the
Having some fun here on the show here. Off the air.
Call them at 508-947-1598 or visit them at 556 Wareham Street in Middleboro, Massachusetts.
Plug them too, a little bit. We got some time. Call it the plug minute.
The plug minute, yeah. 3, 2, 1. And we're back here on Middleboro in Review, and let's introduce a new segment here. The Plug Minute.
The Plug Minute. 1 minute of plugging.
The Plug Minute. First plug. Williams Trading Post. You just heard them on the ad there a second ago. They are open. They're open today.
Second plug.
Yeah.
Spark Street Auto.
Spark Street Auto. They're not open today, but they're open during the week.
Yep. They've been with us. Brockton. Yeah, both those companies been with us. Spark Street's been with us for 2.5, almost 3 years, and then Williams Trading Post's been with you since the beginning.
Yep.
So something loyal about the beginning. Your first ad, your first sponsor.
Third and final plug, Middleboro Matters this Thursday. Ray LaPrey will be on with me as a guest, calling in. He is a part of the Middleboro St. Vincent de Paul Food Pantry. So we'll be talking with him on Thursday. We'll be talking about several different things. Heating assistance, the food pantry, and as we approach winter, some other things as well.
We got a fourth plug?
And our fourth plug is our programming schedule. Coming up here after us is 8 o'clock, and that is the Bread of Life program with Pastor Ortez Vancross. Always a great half hour. Always great messages that he sends, that he does, and sends on CD for us to play. And today's message is Saved to Serve. So that is coming up at 8:05 this morning. 8:35 this morning is the Rosary. 9 o'clock this morning is Medicare Moment with Martha, if you're approaching the age of 65, or if you're over the age of 65 and have Medicare, it is the greatest show to listen to, I think, in my opinion, is
and she has such a nice, pleasant voice, too. It's
absolutely.
Just, some voices out there just are not inviting, but she's got such a pleasant and nice voice.
Yep.
So it's good to listen to her, too.
Yeah, so she has a lot of great information about Medicare, and she comes up from the state of Hawaii as well. That's where that program is coming out of. 9:30, Keys of the Kingdom with Pastor Naomi Burton, and that is again another great half hour of great messages.
There's a lot of music in that.
And also great music.
They do a lot. If you like church music, you like gospel music, if you're into that, that show really has a lot of it. It's just, it's uplifting, actually. Yep. And I know Bread of Life has some, too, usually, sometimes. But
sometimes, yes.
Yeah, but I mean, I think they always do on Keys of the Kingdom.
Yeah, they always have an intro song.
Yeah,
they always have an intro song.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, 10 o'clock, we will be switching over to Talking Information Center for the hour, 10 to 11. We'll be coming back for the second half of the programming day with Musical Odyssey. In today's program, the world of Johannes Brahms, Part 1. So that's a 2-part program. You'll hear Part 2 next week, but Part 1 is this week, and it's at 11 a.m. to 12 this morning with Ed Sutka. 12 to 2, Jim Larkin will be here with music, Sounds of the Emerald Isle. There we go. Sounds of the Emerald Isle, 12 to 2. Great Irish music, great comedy. And he'll be in today, 12 to 2. And then 2 to 3 will be the program Stand Up Strong with Ed Miller and Tony Branch.
What?
Ed Miller and Bishop Tony Branch.
Always forget that. Always forget that.
Bishop Tony Branch.
I do. Broadcast it all over the place. Chris keeps broadcasting it.
Forget it.
Tony broadcasts it, and you just keep.
I don't know why I forget it.
You just forget. You just forget.
Anyway, all right.
That's important.
It's 7:58. Quick today in histories and birthdays and passings for today. 1967 for our today in history. Thurgood Marshall is sworn in as the first African American justice of the United States Supreme Court. Birthdays on this day. 1869, Mahatma Gandhi, Indian freedom fighter, activist, and philosopher. One of the most important people in Indian history. 1945, Don McLean, American singer-songwriter. The song American Pie was one of the biggest hits. 1951, Sting, English singer, songwriter, and actor. Not the wrestler. Not the wrestler. That's another Sting. But the singer, Sting, born on this day in 1951.
Of the rock group Police.
Of Police,
yep.
yes. And
Police.
And it was also a great solo career as well.
Oh,
yeah. And in the world of NASCAR, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., his birthday is today. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., yes.
Is that the Slow Down Ricky Bob thing?
No. He is a NASCAR driver.
Oh, okay.
He is a NASCAR driver. I'm not sure if he's still racing in NASCAR. I don't believe he. I mean, he might be. I don't know. I haven't watched too much this year, so I'm not sure.
I thought there was a saying out there, slow down Ricky Bob, for people to slow down. His name Ricky Bob?
No, his name is Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
Oh, okay.
Just Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
Never mind.
Yeah, and of course, passings on this day, October 2nd, 2017, Tom Petty, American musician who we talked about earlier on in the show. All right, it is 8 o'clock. We got to get out of here.
We got to get out of here. Gotta go.
We got to go. And we'll be back next week, October the 9th, 2022, here on Middleboro in Review. I will be back on the air on Thursday with Middleboro Matters. So, bye-bye, everybody.
Have a great week, everyone.
Yeah, bye-bye. Yeah, I was waiting for you to say bye.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't want to cut you off if you were going to say bye-bye or anything.
Have a great week, everyone. That's my line. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a good show.
What do you think? You can cut the grass?
Fucking windy. It's windy.
That doesn't matter.
Well, I'm going to end this. Bye-bye, everybody. Have a great rest of your